Okay, good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that have just joined, my name is Dan Francis. I'm the head of sales and partnerships for the UK and Republic of Ireland for RSL Awards. Welcome to our RSL on Tour 2020 Performing Arts Awards Introduction to Musical Theatre. This is a fantastic range of qualifications that are group assessed dance qualifications in street, jazz, and musical theatre. This presentation is focused almost exclusively on musical theatre, and is part of a series where we're also been talking about our latest developments in our graded music exam space. These are Introduction to Acoustic Guitar, Introduction to Ukulele, Introduction to Piano and Keys, and Introduction to Music Production. We're also following up with a second series of webinars, which are built around technical studies through performing on the ukulele, acoustic guitar, and piano and keys. And those are focused on how you can integrate the technical skills to do with playing the scales and chords and so on with playing the performance pieces. Because one of the things we pride ourselves on at RSL Awards is giving a really integrated approach and engaging approach to everything we do. And one of the things that links really quite nicely with the Performing Arts Awards is if you're working in an environment where there are students learning other things, maybe they're doing IGCSE or one of our vocational qualifications or a GCSE or an A-level, you'll find that there are things that they're doing in their musical theatre Performing Arts Awards sessions to prepare for those exams that map really quite nicely across to our qualifications. You'll find that at grades 4 and 5, those are mapped at level 2, so they're equivalent to IGCSE, GCSE, VQ standard, and then our grades 6, 7 and 8 are level 3, which map across to our level 3 VQs and A levels and baccalaureate. So that's a bit of context for you. This webinar is being recorded, and as a number of you are aware, will be available offline to view. So if you want to go back and listen to any bits again, or you want to share it with other colleagues or refer colleagues to it, then please feel free. The presentation is roughly 45 minutes, and then there'll be time for questions and answers at the end. We'll also send you a survey to complete after the event, which will give us some feedback on this webinar, and also give you the chance to give us some ideas of what other training and things you'd like to see us do in the future. If I could just ask you to make sure that when you're here, that your cameras on, your microphones are muted. Your cameras can be switched on or off either way. I'm not sure we particularly mind. But if you do have any questions throughout the session, or there's any issues with what you can hear or see, then please just put it in the chat window, which you should see as an option on the options bar at the bottom. There's a little speech bubble and it says chat. Please place it in there, and then I will address any questions as we go through. I'm now going to stop sharing my screen, so you'll be introduced to Jackie Kirk, who will introduce herself, and she is going to be leading this webinar. So I'm now going to go full silent again and hand over to Jackie. Thanks very much.
Lovely. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. I'm just sharing my screen now. A second. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so thanks again. Thank you ever so much. Thanks for that introduction as well, Dan, and extra information. And thanks ever so much for everybody coming to watch today. That's really.
Jackie, just briefly, Jackie, we can still see you. We can't see the presentation.
You can't see the presentation. Yet, okay, I'll end that show. So.
Much as it's lovely to see you, it would be nice to see.
Oh, Dan, you're very kind, but let's try and get this right. Okay, share screen. Aha. Okay, I think I may possibly have got it right now. Is that okay?
That's lovely.
Excellent, thank you. All right. So you can see. So this is a again. Thank you very much, Dan, for that. That's great. My name's Jackie Kirk. So I'm a senior examiner for PAA Performance Arts Awards, and I'm going to be talking to you informally for the next few minutes, quite a few minutes, about musical theatre exams. Okay, so Performance Arts Awards, we are obviously we're part of RSL, and we offer musical theatre, street dance and jazz dance exams. Now, if you're interested in any of the dance exams, do please get in touch so that we can, or even have a chat on the phone, that's fine too, so that we can tell you a bit more about the jazz and the street. But this presentation will be theatre. Okay, can you hear me? I just got a little bit of feedback. I'm hoping everyone can hear me. I'll carry on. Yeah, okay, so you can, lovely. So musical theatre, we offer graded exams from Premier through to grade 8. And the examination is marked in credits awarded through. Sorry, I don't know what's happening there, that's better. There are, for Premier candidates, 2 learning outcomes, which is the performance and then the understanding and reflection. And debut to grade 8 candidates is the performance, technical skills demonstration and understanding and reflection. So I will tell you in more detail about each of those learning outcomes, but that you can see the percentages out of 100 there. So starting off, first learning outcome, the performance. So all candidates must take part in a piece of musical theatre in which they perform acting, singing and dancing. Okay. They engage in all 3 disciplines, and there are minimum durations and amounts of, for example, solo spoken lines for each appropriate grade. And those are all in the syllabus. However, as long as the centre, the school, adheres to the minimum number of lines, the minimum amount of singing, the minimum amount of dancing for each candidate per grade, the choice of piece is free for the teacher. The examiners mark up to 8 candidates at a time. So, up to 8 candidates at a time. So we are, well, we were the first exam board to offer group performance exams, group musical theatre and street dance and jazz dance, actually, exams, but in which we mark and we give an individual certification and an individual grade to each candidate. So it isn't a group mark, it's an individual mark, but they are performing together. There's 2 formats that you can choose from, a group exam or a show exam. So the group exam is typically a class of candidates at a similar grade level. So for example, you may have 8 candidates all at grade 1, or you might have 8 candidates at debut and Premier and grade 1, or you might have 8 candidates at grades 4 and 5, but they're at a similar grade level. There can be more than 8 candidates in your group performance, but if there are, the performance is then repeated. If there are, say, for example, 10 candidates that you have in your class and you're going to do a group performance, the examiner may not request the whole performance to be repeated. They may request sections of it to be repeated. For example, if you're doing a scene from Annie, the examiner might request to see It's a Hard Knock Life again, but not the whole particular point, the whole particular excerpt. And candidates need to perform for the specified duration per grade. So if you have 8 candidates at grades 1 to 3, the performance must be the duration for grade 3. So they perform for the duration of the highest grade in their group. So, okay, a show exam. Now, this is a bit different. So this could coincide with an annual show. You could coincide your exam performance with an annual show. And this seems to fit in very well. In fact, it's been proven to fit in very well with schools' end of term productions, shows, demonstrations of work, review presentations. There's no time limit and there's no maximum number of candidates. So candidates from Premier right through to grade 8 could perform together, and an audience is permitted, but in actual fact an audience is permitted for group exams as well. But it is usually, the usual format is slightly different, because with a group exam you are usually in a more of a classroom or small hall environment, but with a show exam you're generally in a theatre or a very big hall environment, and you're more likely to have parents coming to see, and it's more likely to be the scenario of end of term shows, etc. But for this one you have Premier and grade 8 could all perform together. Okay, notes for both. Okay, so an audience is permitted for both. It can include students who are not exam candidates, which is very useful if you have an end of term show and you have 20 students performing in it for parents, and 10 of which are taking the exam but 10 aren't. That's absolutely fine. There's a minimum fee that there is for so as long as you have enough candidates to warrant that minimum fee, then you can also include other students who are not exam candidates, because they are in that show and they are taking class in the class as well. All candidates must wear their candidate number on the front and back of their clothing. That's for obvious reasons. Okay, so just before we go on, there's more information on both of those things to come, but just as a little bit of a break from this, from me talking, this is an example of it's actually a show performance, but they are all of similar grades. It's a grades 2 and 3, and if you can see, it's quite hard to see actually because they are wearing white shirts, but they've got their numbers on, and their numbers on, but there are a few, or there's a couple, who haven't got numbers, so they're not taking the exam. And this is just a little example here. You see there's an audience. And at this point they're doing the acting bit of the acting bit of their performance. And this particular piece was a piece about bullying, and they started off with a dance. They then went into this little acting bit where it was sort of a courtroom scene, and then they finished with, and they had a song and then another bit of acting, and then they finished, so they had 2 songs, 1 dance and then a scene. And this was approximately 20 minutes long. And this little clip is grade 8 candidates. As you can see nice and clearly, they've got their candidate numbers on the front. Costume is allowed. It's not mandatory, obviously, but you could have a school uniform, or as these candidates are, they're just wearing black. But costume is allowed, but it is worth remembering that if you have costume, that the numbers must be clearly on the front and back of your costume. And they're performing grade 8. Now this group chose to do a review of pieces from different musicals, which is again absolutely fine. They're all grade 7 and 8, I believe. And so they were incorporating harmonies, some solo singing as well, which is one of the requirements for that grade. And they, as I said, they did different excerpts from different musicals, just in little snippets of scenes, which again is absolutely fine, doesn't have to be a full show. And this one was Mama Who Bore Me from Spring Awakening. And right, so performance material. Okay, so it could be an extract from the musical, or different extracts from different musicals. So it could be a review of different musical numbers or scenes, or maybe you could take a theme, for example, The Road to Oz, with songs, dances and scenes chosen from The Wizard of Oz, Wicked and The Wiz. So you could have a theme, or it could be original work as well, as long as it adheres to the minimum duration for the grades chosen. Right. So this is some information about how your musical theatre exam might run. So it's a sort of overview here. So you could have a group exam with 8 candidates of similar grades and 1 examiner. You'd have a group exam with 16 candidates of similar grades, but this time the performance would be repeated. If there's more than that, then there would be, if there's a group exam and more candidates than that, then what we would do is send 2 examiners. Or the other option is that the examiner would go twice and see 2 performances. So a show exam, the performance may coincide with the school's end of term production, either 1, 2 or more examiners, or 1 examiner attending more than 1 performance. Okay. So this is another example, and this is original work, although the school has chosen to do a, it's a theme, but it's a bespoke piece that's written original writing, but including known songs, and it's based on a story around the Second World War. And these were grade 5 to 8 candidates. The particular candidate singing now is a grade 8 candidate. And some more performance material. This is all on the website. So there's some FAQs, and there's also some links to suggested material. As I said before, it's suggested material. As long as you adhere to the minimums required for acting, singing and dancing, it is your own choice. It's quite creative and quite free. It allows quite a lot of freedom, which is one of the benefits of this exam. So a few suggestions though. There's Bugsy Malone, Annie and Oliver. So you know, this is on the website if you want to take a look at any suggestions there. This is an example of a full show. This was a full production of Little Shop of Horrors. And this was the opening. As I say, it is ideally numbers on the front and back of costume. And these were grade 3 and 4 candidates opening the show. They weren't the only ones singing, by the way. There were others singing as well. And then, okay, so this is later on in Little Shop of Horrors. This is quite interesting. If you see, before I play it, you've got non-exam candidates, if you see, with no numbers on their costumes, and then clearly the ones who are taking the exam have numbers on their costumes. And this is quite an interesting example. You've got a grade 8 candidate working with some debut candidates, and she's playing the plant, and they're all being the plant as well, which is quite a creative idea.
Don't talk to me about old town. Think it's worse about thinking wrong. Don't talk to me about Frankenstein. You better tell me how to lay that line.
Okay. Right, so after the performance, Learning Outcome 1, all candidates, well, not all candidates, debut to grade 8 candidates, then move on to their technical skills demonstration. Premier candidates don't do this particular component. So it's a great debut to grade 8, and for the technical skills demonstration, the candidates will, in much smaller groups, demonstrate either acting or singing or dancing skills. And the choice of which from grade 1 to 5 is that of the teacher. So I'll a little bit more about the individual things later on, but this is specifically designed to be included in classwork over a number of weeks. So for example, you are preparing, you know, over your 12, 15 weeks, whatever it is, for your group performance. But of course you will have warm-ups, you will have development work in your class, and this is designed to be incorporated into that section of your class. Okay, so debut candidates, so this is debut to grade 5. They will perform a simple piece based on acting, characterization and movement. So they will perform a character, and all of this is in the syllabus, but basically they are performing using sound, movement and facial expressions. The characters are clown, witch, lion and monkey, and the music is all available to download, so free. So that's what they will do. The examiner would choose which character they would perform on the day, So throughout the process of rehearsal and classwork, they would work on all 4, but the examiner would pick one on the day. Grades 1 to 5, either acting or singing or dancing chosen by the teacher. So the candidates, all the candidates in the same grade group demonstrate the same technical skill. So the teacher would need to choose what skill a particular grade group is going to be performing. So they may decide all their grade 1s are going to do acting, but their grade 5s are going to do dancing, but each group does perform the same technical skill, and an audience is not permitted for this. Grade 6 to 8 is different though, because at grade 6 to 8, this focuses on preparation for auditions, which a lot of the students find really, really useful. So each candidate would choose either acting or singing or dancing. So therefore, in the same group, you might have a group of 8 grade 6s, but you might have 2 of them doing acting, 2 of them doing singing, and 2 of them doing dance, because they individually have chosen the skill that they want to specialise in. And what they demonstrate is more in line with audition type pieces. The details are obviously all in the syllabus for that. But for example, acting grade 8, they might do a monologue. Okay. Okay, acting technical skills. So the candidates perform, so this is the grades with just a little bit more information about acting. So grades 1 to 3, the candidates perform a scenario. All the scenarios are in the syllabus and can all be prepared. However, they don't know which one is going to be chosen on the day, but all the scenarios are there for them to pre-prepare as an improvisation-based exercise within your classwork. And then grades 4 to 5, again, they will perform not necessarily totally prepared, but practiced scenario, but it will include a previously unknown direction given by the examiner on the day. So the examiner will tell them something about their character or their objectives, something about, they'll tell each candidate, which they then have to incorporate into the scenario. Singing, this is one song extract to perform to the examiner in small groups, and as the grades progress, the groups get smaller until we get to grade 8 where they're performing solo, rather like an audition. Example song extracts can be found in the syllabus, but they are examples, and again, the teachers have the freedom to choose the extract they think appropriate to their students. Dancing, so they're arranged into small groups, again, goes up to grade 8. For dancing, it's either solo or pairs at grade 8. We don't actually demand solo dancing for this, but it can be in pairs. And they perform a prepared technical combination of dance steps choreographed by the teacher. So there is in each grade, there is a list of required technical dance steps that are required to be incorporated into the combination. However, the choreography and any linking steps between the required steps is the teachers. They have freedom to choreograph that as well. Yeah. All right, so after the technical skills, we move on to the understanding and reflection section, and that's when the candidates will demonstrate an understanding through a question and answer with the examiner. So it's individual. The examiner will ask each candidate individually 2 questions that are based on topics to do with musical theatre, that are based on the performance seen in the examination, and at higher grades they then have topics that are based on rehearsal process, terminology, techniques, but the topics are listed in the grades. So this is something which fits quite nicely in with, for example, the plenary. So you may, after your rehearsal, sit in a circle, discuss characterization, you discuss rehearsal processes, discuss what went well in that rehearsal, those sorts of things could come out within the understanding and reflection section. And marking, so we've been through the 90%, 10%, so the weighting of the 3 learning outcomes, and here's the attainment bands. So we have unclassified, pass, merit, and distinction, and those are the percentages. And from June of this year, we're very excited to announce that musical theatre exams, along with the graded music exams as well, are going to be marked digitally. So, number one, it'll be nice clear handwriting because it will be typed for you to read. And number two, it is broken down in order to, in order for the marking to be as accessible as possible for candidates. So we've separated the elements into technique for acting and performance for acting, technique for singing, performance for singing, technique for dance and performance for dance. And there are separate marks for all of those. So for acting, the total of that would be 20, so it's 20 and 20, and the total of this is 60. And then the total of the technical exercise is 30, technique and performance, and the total of the questions is 10. And there's the 2 questions that mark there. But it's all separated out, so it means that the candidate can look at their mark and look at the individual marks that they've got, and it really helps them to, it becomes a goal, it becomes goals for them to try and achieve for their next exam, to see where they did particularly well, where they think they, where they could possibly improve. And underneath we do have comments from the examiner, which also is a little bit of a guide to help students with how they could possibly progress. So why choose PA exams? Well, it's created by industry professionals, so it's very contemporary, it's up to date, industry relevant. Because there's so much flexibility, there is opportunity for you to include really up-to-date material as well. And it prepares you for auditions at the higher grades, which is so, so important. There is a system of progressive mastery, which basically means that there are exams at any stage, as long so even from absolute beginner, and it's achievable steps, it's positive learning, it's very inclusive, and that means you can, whichever students that you have, you might think that a student would go in for their grade 1 and another one for their grade 4, but because they're friends, they are still in the same performance. So it means it's flexible, and there's a system of progressive mastery as well. The flexibility, so it's good for teachers. The structure allows freedom, as I said, to choose the content. Individual certification with a group performance. So you know that they can perform together, they can perform with their peers, but they have an individual mark each. And UCAS points available at grades 6 to 8, which is very important for the your older students. That are at approximately A-level kind of standard at school, and they are looking to go to university and perhaps would really like some UCAS points. And we come to you, so the examiners come to your centre. No membership fee. So all of the materials, including the debut music, the syllabus, supporting materials, you can download online, which is very useful because then you can get all these materials together, sit around the table with your teachers, discuss and decide whether this is appropriate for you, without actually paying out any money to start with. And UCAS points are level 3. So, duplication. Okay, so this is just a little recommendation from a performing arts teacher. The PAA syllabuses are perfect for setting students up for success. A truly creative and inclusive structure for any performing arts teachers and their students. Couldn't have put it better myself. Okay. Right, so now, there's some information just here, so some links so that you can get in contact with us. And if you'd like to get in contact with us for the dance exams, do email PAA or the international as well, or for the UK business at. But what I'd like to do, well, I think what I might do is stop sharing my screen now, because I would like to go to the website now. Okay, and if it's all right with you, Dan, I would like to now go to the website and just show everybody where they can find information that is based on what's happening in our world at the moment, because I think that would be very useful.
Yeah, good idea.
So I'm just going to make sure I've got that up. Okay. And I've got the website up and running. Right, there we go. So I've now stopped sharing, haven't I? I'm such a technophobe, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna start sharing again. Am I sharing my screen? Yeah. Is that okay? Okay. So just checking if everyone can see this. So PAA, so if you go to the RSL website, under PAA, you can see this is new and that is new. So we have some new exciting news for you. The COVID-19 update isn't quite so exciting, obviously. It's actually probably the opposite for most people. But what we've done is we are very keen to help centres to still take musical theatre exams and dance, street dance and jazz dance exams. So we have an update, and this is updated as of July now, this particular one. So if I were to open that up so you can see, okay, there's quite a lot to go through here, but we have given some tips, and this will of course be dependent on your own country. This is based on UK government guidelines for health and safety, UK government guidelines for social distancing, for what is allowed, what isn't allowed. And so this may be very, might be different for your country. There's some general right, and there's some information about effective infection protection and control at the venue. Moving on to singing, I really recommend you read through this and see what you see if this is going to be helpful. But the general thing is that we are recommending small groups for the social distancing, and we are allowing temporarily for this COVID time a small amount and then a larger amount for higher grades of solo singing instead of group singing. There's a maximum of 8 candidates. Obviously, no big shows are allowed at present in the UK. No audience is allowed at present in the UK. But you can still, through doing the group exam format and following these guidelines, it is still possible to take your exam. There's some social distancing guidelines here, and that is a useful document for you. Okay. Just to another thing that we have, which is the video exams. We will have coming up very, very soon, in fact this summer, live streamed exams. If you're interested in those, please do get in touch, and we will then, as soon as it's ready, we will send you the information regarding live streamed exams. So that's online live exams. However, we do have on the website here information about our video exams, which are video submissions, and they are for Premier to grade 3 for jazz dance and grades 1 to 3 for street dance. So if you are interested, if you have any grade up to grade 3 for any dance exam and you would like to do a video submission, that is now possible. So that's, again, let us know if you would like to do that. Okay. Right, I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I would like to say thank you very much for listening to me rabbit on. And I would be really happy to answer any questions. So.
Great, thank you, Jackie. I think one of the
thank you very much, Dan.
One of the thing we've got, I've been answering a few questions as we've been going along actually, but we've got.
Thank you.
Amalia has said, can she unmute the microphone in order to ask a few questions? I think that's absolutely fine. So if you want to crack on, we're all ears.
Hi, Miss.
Hiya. Hello, I'm Jackie.
Hi.
Hello, Amalia.
Hi, Miss Jackie. Can you hear me clearly? Sorry, I can't turn on
you.
my camera because the signal is very bad here.
Okay, well, I can definitely hear you.
I have a few questions, if you don't mind. The first one is about the annual show. What about the date of the exam? Because sometimes maybe our school annual show might be different than the scheduled exam that PIA has.
Ah, yes, of course. So there are, of course, it is slightly different for international centres, isn't it? Because your show may not be. I mean, we would aim. I think you would be right in saying, Dan, we would aim to be flexible. But I think we have to have. If we have a tour, we have to have a tour, don't we? So the examiner is touring around that, and so we have to have a certain time whereby the examiner is in your geographical area examining. When do your shows usually take place, Amalia?
Usually, yeah, I forgot. I'm from Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah, I just moved from Bali. Now I went back to my town, Jakarta. Usually, different schools. Sometimes the school have has 6 months or annual. So it's could be December or June or May.
Yeah, I think
But
Right.
yeah,
I think the answer is that when you're looking to do the exams, is to talk to Dan Phelps and Connor about what the plans are, because obviously we have to look at the costs of sending examiners
yeah.
to Indonesia to do a tour. So we would need to put it in with another tour, but at the same time, and this is relevant for lots of people, of course, that while you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
do your show at one time of the year, it's possible that the students can still have the work ready, so you could schedule an exam day where they do the same things again. Because of course, it's worth bearing in mind that with the musical theatre exams, while they do the show and they do their
Mm-hmm.
performance, they've also
Yes.
got the technical skills element where they're preparing the technical exercises, and then the examiner will ask them to perform one of those, and that part of the
Mm-hmm.
exam doesn't take place as part of the show. So you
Mm-hmm.
could actually find that you could have kind of two different things. I know that we have quite a few organisations that will do a show, but they'll also
Mm-hmm.
do a dress rehearsal the day before or maybe the
Yeah, yeah.
weekend afterwards, where they'll do it
That,
purely for the exam purposes. So we're flexible with it. Um, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's my second question. Is it okay if it's for if it's during the dress rehearsal instead of the
absolutely.
real one? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I frequently go to theatres and I'm the only person in the auditorium because the next day is their show. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wanna
That's
ask that. Is it
fine.
okay if it's during the
Yeah.
dress rehearsal?
And
And
maybe, sorry,
mhm.
Amalia, yes.
It's okay, it's okay. You first.
Okay. No, I'm just thinking, and maybe if you are, you could possibly, if you know you have an exam booked in and it's not the same time or near the same time as your end
Mhm.
of term show, um, maybe it could be that you can work the technical exercises and the understanding and reflection. You can slightly more heavily weight that to fill in those times and then recap. Do you see what I mean? So what you don't you can recap the rehearsals for
Oh
your
yes.
show. um
Okay, okay.
I
Oh
think
yeah. So
there are,
so
probably
yeah.
it depends how near or where. I think if it's only about 2 or 3 weeks in between, I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
I think
Obviously,
Yeah.
probably for everybody's benefit, I suppose, or to help everybody, there is a standard way of doing an exam in the UK and internationally, where we will send an examiner to you at a scheduled time. Within the UK, you need to have a minimum of £450 worth of entries. Within internationally, you need to talk to your rep about what these thresholds are. But the dates and fees can be found on our website, rslawards.com/PAA. Um,
Mhm.
and the standard format is you'd come with an examiner would come, you would prepare the elements you'd need to do for either the show or the group exam. You'd have the technical skills prepared as well, so the students are all ready. In the exam, you'll be while you have to have all the technical skills ready, you'll be asked to perform a selection of those as part of the exam, and all of that information is in the syllabus guide. And then around that, where there are specific details around how you're going to organise the exam day in your own venue, in your own territory, then I think that's when you can talk to Mary, Kate, and Dan, and Connor and Helena in the international team about those sort of specific details, because we try to be as flexible as possible. That the information that Jackie sent through about the live video exams, where there'll be an examiner in the UK that will be available to examine you from anywhere in the world via a video link up, that may actually help a lot of those issues as well, as long as your internet connection, of course, is
that one.
can wear that, which is an obvious
so bad
question.
here, sir.
but that's fine. But equally, the international at rslawards.com is probably your best place to go for more information there.
Yes.
No,
The
that
video
helps.
exam will be available. I mean, if we submit the video production,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
it's better than live streaming.
Yeah. And I think the in terms of a pre-recorded video submission, that isn't available for musical theatre, but that is available
Oh,
for
okay.
some of our street dance and jazz dance qualifications.
Oh,
Up to grade
all
3.
right.
Yeah.
The live
Uh,
streaming, yeah.
Yeah, it
that's
would be a live, Amali. It would be a live, for any musical theatre, it would be a live
All right.
stream exam. We have an understanding and reflection section where the examiner has to speak to the candidate.
Yeah,
So
got it.
the live stream would work. And this is, well, it's not even in development. It's there, it's done. It's just, we're just gonna. So do apply, because it is there. So if you would like to book in a live stream exam, then we can send you the information about that as soon as possible. So yeah.
Yes, please. All right. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And if you'd like to contact me, it's just Jackie Kirk at rslawards.com. If you would like to specifically ask me any questions, that's fine too.
Yes,
Shall I
please.
just I'll put mine in here.
I'm doing that now.
Are you doing it as well?
Yeah.
Are you a quicker typer than me? I can look at that.
I win.
Honestly, I'm.
Thank you.
You do.
I
Thank you so
think
much,
hopefully this has given you a good taster of the PA Performing Arts Awards musical theatre exams. Obviously, there will be questions that people have afterwards. We will send out a link with the contact details and the link to the survey. So please use the survey to give us feedback. And please feel free to email us using the contact details with specific questions you've got. I think from our point of view, we're really, really pleased that we've been able to look at the Performing Arts Awards as they stand, and then we've been able to find ways of adapting both how the exams are conducted, how they're done, but also what the candidates need to prepare, so that we can still offer an opportunity for young people to come together to create, to do creative and performing arts in a group, where that is, for quite a lot of places, not looking like it's something that's viable or possible. And I think from apart from anything else, for students' mental health and well-being, this is really important. And for and for teachers who are saying, or people who are running their businesses saying, look, this is something we can do, and it's going to be something that is going to keep music and performing arts going and alive in what has been some very unusual times. So hopefully it's been a really useful and interesting taster, and we look forward to speaking to you in more detail about any of the questions that you've got. If there are any more questions, I haven't seen any come through the chat, so that's absolutely fine. Jack, if there's anything you want to add, we might have a question.
Yes, Mr. Dan, this is Maslin here.
Hi.
And hi, Ms. Garg as well. I have a question here. I live in India, south of India, and I'm very much interested in doing this performance and the group shows. My question is about what is the kind of support we get for Indian workers here, because it doesn't happen here much. These musical theater, these shows and these kind of exams, we don't have much exposure, or these classes or teachers are not much around. So what kind of support can I expect so that I can work on these areas.
Okay. Do you teach yourself, Marceline? Are you the teacher?
Yes, very much. I've been into this business for 10 plus years. My background is from Trinity College. So I recently started working with RSL. Pretty interesting. I teach communication skills, Western classical, all the instruments, guitar, keyboard, piano, theory of music. Now I moved with RSL as well. So this has been also been my part of my program in teaching.
All right. Okay.
And very much interested in musical theater. I was only wondering what support I can get from this.
Well,
right.
the good news, Marceline, is in this webinar right now, we have, I think, 2, if not 3 of our reps from India, and our rep from Indonesia, who will be able to, who you can connect up with quite easily and talk to. What I will do is I will put in here the email address for Connor Burns, who is our international development business development manager. If you email him using that email address, or you can email me, we'll be able to give you put you in touch with the right people to make sure you can get the right support as you go through all of this.
Oh, that will be great.
No
I also have one other question. Considering this pandemic scenario, we do online classes with students from different location and categories, one-on-one or few in groups on Meet, Zoom IDs, or these video meetings. So how do I conduct group sessions, when I don't have a gathering together in one place for me to conduct these classes? And how far is this acceptable? I don't know how to work this around. I have individuals from different places who want to come together for group performance.
Yeah.
But still we can't make them to happen together. Is there a solo performance happening as well at this scenario?
Yeah, that we are not offering solo exams or exams that are on something like, somebody performing on Zoom solo. It has to be an exam. It has to be a group, even if it's a very, very small group because of social distancing, but it has to be at the center, either face to face, or it will be live stream coming up, but it has to be in a performance based scenario, not at home.
A group, in the sense, a group in a room together, right? Not an individual coming together.
Absolutely, yes.
It has to be a group. What is the minimum least group at this situation with social distancing concerning? What can we have?
Well, in this situation, in the document that you have a look through the document, we've made the group sizes much smaller. So you obviously shows are not allowed and audiences are not allowed, but you can even have a minimum of 2. You have to have enough candidates for that exam session to equate to for equivalent.
So I get to understand I can have minimum of 2 in a classroom together to have a group session, is it?
Yes, you can. Yes, and that would of course be a lot, because there are, again, in the document there is information about the length, the duration of that, because obviously that performance will be a lot shorter.
We should be able to give an equal participation for both. That's also considered to be acting in pairs.
Yes, you can actually. It's a minimum of 2, and then obviously the maximum is much smaller at the moment. But so you could have a series of small groups like that. Yeah, right. I mean, it's not ideal because of course you're dancing and singing as well. And the whole idea really is to have that group performance feel. But I have sort of recommended if 4 would be a good sort of number.
Yeah, but those sounds very nice to learn and teach. This situation of coming together in group performance, it's a big challenge to work around this.
It is, and it has to be small groups. And if the only way that it can be done is to have a series of very small group, that's still acceptable. We can still mark it with the correct assessment criteria. It's doable. It's doable.
Okay. And this video streaming exams, once it's on, this minimum group can be conducted on video streaming, and the mark sheet, scoring, everything is like it gets courier to us, right? It comes on the certificate, everything is issued just like that a physical exam happens.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, when the live stream exams come on, it will be the same sort of marking, the same criteria, the same digital marking, the same breakdown of marks, etc. Yes.
Okay.
yes, the only difference is that the examiner is connected via a web link rather than physically in the room. Um, I think uh, yes, I think the other thing to obviously to flag as well, they're performing in a group, and those group sizes can be different. The great thing is that every candidate gets their own certificate and their own mark, and they may all be at the same standard, or they may be different standards. So you can have a grade 8 working with a grade 4, or you can have a group of grade 4s. And I think that's where you're putting your exam day together, that's where talking to us to make sure that it's all coming together in the right way is going to be the best way forward, because it will be different for different people. I think it's fair to say.
Especially at the moment.
Yeah, and the other thing to add as well, if you've got individuals who are, really enjoying their singing, then obviously they can do the vocals graded exam on as a one-to-one solo opportunity and get their certificate that way. So that's
Right.
another option that you've got as you're looking at rock school across the board. So
Yes.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, we have the vocals on rock school. That's
yeah,
our individual certifications happening. Yes.
brilliant,
Yeah.
I do understand that. Okay, great.
good,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you.
Good questions.
great. Lovely. Well, I think we will we will leave it there. I think you've got various contact details that you can keep in touch. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming along this afternoon, and thank you very much, Jackie, for that comprehensive demonstration. Our next webinar is next Tuesday afternoon and repeated next Wednesday morning. 4:30 till 6 on Tuesday at UK British Summer Time, and Wednesday 8:30 till 10 British Summer Time. That is an introduction to music production, where we'll be taking you through the grades and showing the benchmark skills at each level from grade 1 through to grade 8, and some of the sorts of things that your students would be required to produce, and a bit of guidance as well, some approaches to teaching, including where you can access free materials. So look forward to seeing a number of you then. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, everyone.